You know, when you find your purpose in life, what you are called to do, it's, it's, I can't describe that feeling, but I wake up every day loving what I do.
Put on his neck, I'm coming in high, I'm coming in quick, got what I got, I'm so content, he calling me big, running up chicks, running up, loving that flex, been on that marathon nail, I run at my pace, they loving the spread, put on his neck.
Well, Will, man, pleasure to meet with you, man.
Thank you.
I know you was dropping a lot of gems before we came on camera, so I appreciate your willingness to just chop it up. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, man, what you do, where you from, man.
Yeah, so I'm from Chicago, outside of Chicago, Illinois, the Elgin area. I live in Pingree Grove, and I do workforce readiness, mentorship, community service, just a host of different skills. But the underlining principle that I kind of go with when I approach students is really just like mentorship, being there for them and understanding their needs, what the community has to offer, and then also what their dynamics are.
Okay, I love that. And so we're chopping it up. You mentioned that you have a full day job, but you also have a business. Tell me a little bit like about your day job and the business, the audience. You kind of share me a little bit about the audience, but like, you know, what do you do with your day job and your business?
Yeah, so I work for Elgin Community College. I do a program called Trio Talent Search.
Okay.
So basically, it's 3 programs. Trio, it's a huge grant, and for one, it's Talent Search Transitions. That's the program I do that we serve middle and high school students.
Okay.
And then there's Upward Bound program that only serves high school students, college prep program. And then we also have Student Support Services, which serves college students.
Okay.
So I work for Elgin Community College, but I serve the community of middle and high school students. And basically what I go into the schools and do, I have a caseload of about 125 students, and we talk about post-secondary planning.
Yeah.
Right? So like, what do you want to do after high school, and what does that plan look like? And we use the Illinois PACE framework to help build that out.
Okay.
And then I'll use a lot of like mentorship that I use, going to football games and their sporting events.
Yeah.
Celebrating birthdays.
Love that, man.
Really important.
Yeah.
And just understand like what do they need. You know, I think students are very complex.
Yep.
With the world and what they can and cannot navigate.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they just need a mentor, somebody outside of their household. To just be objective.
Absolutely.
And hear them and hear them out.
Man, that's super dope, man. So you mentioned the word earlier about a calling. And so we're talking a little bit about parenthood, but like hearing about the audience that you serve, the young kids, because nobody is forcing you to be a mentor. Nobody's telling you that you have to go to sporting games and be engaged with them. Like, tell me a little bit about like what calling means to you and your world of work.
Yeah, so I think I ran from my calling for a long time. I worked in middle management for about 19 years, and it was a great job, amazing pay. And when I left the job, people thought I was crazy. It was like, you make this amount and you're leaving and go make this.
Right.
But I always served youth in some capacity.
Yeah.
And with that, a few years I kind of stopped doing it for a while. But I was missing something.
Love that.
And I remember I was in church one day, and the pastor was asking people to come up to do the volunteer for the youth ministry. And my heart was beating really fast. And I remember this elder told me one time in church that when your heart is beating really fast, God is knocking on your heart.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell you something.
That's good.
Right? So I raised my hand, I walked up, and I served, and that was that missing component. And so I did it for a number of years. Then I got back into youth services, kind of what I really enjoy. But I just, I remember when I was that teenager, when I was that kid, and I was not a trouble teen, but also I needed some guidance outside of my house. And I met a gentleman, probably in my late teens into my early 20s, that changed the trajectory of my life. Yeah. Right? And I remember that feeling. I remember what he had to offer. He was a black man. He wasn't a drug dealer. He was very influential in the community. And that right there made me want to be more of like that for my community. So good. And I think just, as a dynamics, we don't get a lot of males of color in our communities that want to give back and want to serve and want to pour into the youth. So I think that's super important and super dope. I think I show up with, dynamics, right?
Absolutely.
Green glasses, green top, right? So typically when I show up in a school, kids look at me and be like, who's that guy?
Exactly.
Right? And they want to kind of come up and talk to me and know who I am. And I tell them, with our program, yes, we got to do some things, right? I think that's how we get paid. But also I tell them, I'm here to serve you.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around, right? A lot of times we're trying to get kids for them to meet into our narrative. I think we need to meet into them.
Man, that's so powerful. It's a lot of things that you shared, man. When you talked about calling, I love that you use language that like you kind of felt like some fear, right? You felt like your heart was beating very fast, and you kind of used the reference that one of your mentors shared, like, all right, this might be some evidence of like God is calling you to do some different things. And I think like sometimes we over Christianize things. Like I'm a believer myself, but I think all of us have a calling. All right, not all of us answer it, but like it's just quite obvious. Like if you feel this sense of like passion, but also fear of like, what's gonna look like if I don't actually do it, that's kind of evidence of something deeper that you're being called to. The other thing, man, I love that you mentioned really to encourage us as adults, how you sort of navigate career. Get in the bag. We all want to be financially secure.
Absolutely.
But there's tension, man. And so I think for those of us that might be in corporate America or have some type of job where it's financially blessing us, but we know like there's a level of maybe emptiness or unfulfillment. That's another area to kind of explore. So you kind of drop some career gems, man. I would love for you to like take us there because you mentioned the entrepreneurship, and I would love to hear a little bit about like from a skill set development. You have such a rich skill set and how you like program, coach, and guide youth. Tell us a little bit about the skills that you have leveraged and what it looks like for you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I think about what my pathway looked like. So my pathway was not college, right? I didn't too much enjoy high school. I was super popular. I was into a lot of things, but like college just wasn't on my list. Sure. But also my parents were kind of going through a messy divorce, and so I moved out, got my own place. And so what that looks like is I worked for a company full time, and I started learning skills, right? Communication, time management, problem solving, determination, grit, right? Resilience. So a lot of those things. And when I left my full-time job for 19 years, I decided to like develop a nonprofit. Right? Like what would that look like? And I wanted to serve youth in my community. I wanted to provide them a space where they knew that they can go someplace, have a good time, and enjoy that, but also learn something from that.
Okay.
And just know somebody cared about them briefly, rich and deeply about them and their family and what they needed. So I started a nonprofit called Tailoring Youth to Succeed. And that was from an aspect of wanting to serve really middle school, because you get into this weird space in the summertime where you're not old enough to work, but you're too old to be in a summer camp. Right. And so you're in this like little weird space and you're kind of awkward, right? And so I worked with middle school for a few summers, and it was a great program, right? And then I kind of segued my way into high school and developing, because a lot of students wanted to work. Right. It was kind of emerged from the pandemic. Parents were losing jobs. So I went to the community and I partnered with Brookfield Zoo. It's in my area. And they said, yeah, we'll partner with you. We'll get some kids some jobs, and we'll help teach them some soft skills. Building resumes, dress for success, problem solving, communication, time management. And I learned a lot of those things through having them do community service, right? Serving their community. So they got a two-part folder. I actually got the honor of like doing something for their community, but also talking to people they wouldn't normally talk to, elders, younger people, older people, and giving back at the same time.
That's so good.
So that's how I kind of leverage a lot of those skills. And I think transferable skills is a lot of things you can't really measure, So I know if kids can read, I know if they can do math, but I don't know if you can communicate them.
Man, I love that.
Things like that.
Yeah, so last question. So comment and then a question, man. One, huge kudos to you, because I think like you are a powerhouse, man. You're so dynamic as a I don't want to just say professional, as an individual, right? Because a lot of what you're doing, nobody's telling you to. You're kind of operating through your convictions. But the cool thing is you're leveraging your past work experience. And I read a book called Your Purpose is Calling. It's by Dr. Darius Daniels. And he has a phrase called unique discontent. So you talked a little bit about the middle school, like how it's a gap where like they're too young to work a job, but they're too old to be just frolicking, for all lack of better words. Like there's a gap, like they need to be engaged. And a lot of what you're doing as an entrepreneur is filling that gap. And so unique discontent is a term where it's a problem inside of us that burns. And like, how do I solve that? Like, why does that exist? And Dr. Darius talks about that. So that's the comment. I wrote a book called Purpose Driven Work. I want you to have this, man. The question I have for you is, I feel like all of us that are in the workforce, we're acquiring these skills and we want to do excellent work with organizations, right?
Yes.
Like that's what God has kind of called us to do, right? Just do excellent work. But I think some of us think that we're married to an organization in terms of calling.
Absolutely.
But I don't believe that. I believe that like your calling is bigger than the job function.
Yes.
And it's tied to the kingdom of God. So I say all that to say, I would love for you to write a book. Your book is, I don't know if you've already written a book, but like if you were to write the next book in your life, right? What would the title be? What would it be about? And who is it for? Who should read that book?
Wow. My church has a tagline: God, people, purpose, hope. And I love the tagline so much. When I was looking for a church home, and I went to this church, woke up one morning, just decided to go, and that same day they had party with the pastor.
Okay.
And I went upstairs, introduced the pastor, and that was their tagline. And that will be the tagline of my book.
Say that tagline one more time.
That's God, people, purpose, hope.
Oof, I love that.
And so I love it so much because, you know, when you find your purpose in life, what you are called to do, it's I can't describe that feeling, but I wake up every day loving what I do. And I know that I'm serving the next generation. I know that I'm making a difference, planting small seeds that I might not see later on.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of students who talk to me year after year. Man, Mr. Will, I remember what you told me. Man, Mr. Will, I remember you came to my volleyball game. Man, Mr. Will, I remember when I did that community service. Man, Mr. Will, I remember you gave me my first job.
Yeah.
So all those things, like my purpose, I am God-driven. I pray every day, even when I go into school. And right before I get out of my car, I say a small prayer. God, give me the wisdom and just use me as a vessel to serve your kingdom. And I think that's super powerful. And kids see that.
Amen.
Whether you see it or not, and whether you see them listening or not listening, it's there. Right?
Yeah.
The message getting across. So I think that's just super powerful.
Man, you know the cool thing about all of this is, like, we just met probably 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
We had no conversation. Had no assumptions about your beliefs, but I think all of this is it's not coincidental. You know, God ordains it, man. So I really appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you borrowing my time, helping me out. Last sort of comment, I lied to you. This is the last one.
Okay.
Where can people like eventually get your New York next time seller? Where can people connect with you? Learn about anything that you have to offer, man.
Yeah, so my website is cyslife.org, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, Tailoring Youth to Succeed, Facebook, Instagram, and of course for the kiddos, it's Snapchat, because that's where they live.
Hey, man, appreciate you, bro.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, you have a blessing, man. Thank you so much.
Too many of us are getting stuck in our dreams, our callings, and career, which is why I wrote this book, Purpose Driven Work. I have over 10 years of experience working as a career development professional, from which is where I write this book. And I've also utilized some biblical principles, but also some career development principles to help us strategically get unstuck in our careers, but also to help us to align purpose in the work that we do. Check it out. You guys can order the book on Amazon or visit my website for a signed copy. Be blessed.
Foot on his neck, I'm coming in high, I'm coming in quick, got what I got, I'm so content, he calling me big, running up chicks, running up, loving that flex, been on that marathon nail, I run at my pace, they loving the spread, foot on his neck.